Hi, I'm Jim Fong. I'm a real estate investor, and today I'm going to be going through my journey as an investor. In my lifetime, I've purchased over 20 properties personally, not for clients, but for myself, and I'm going to go through all of them. We're going to start with property number one. This is my very first property that I purchased. I did buy it in March of 2004. All right. So that was before I was in real estate even. Now, I remember this time. It was like in the early 2000s. Real estate, it was a hot market then. All right. And it was easy for people to get qualified back then. This was, the subprime mortgage days. Prices were going crazy in the early 2000s. I wanted to get something quickly, but I did not want to move all the way to North Las Vegas, I remembered. At the time, I was working on the Strip, actually. So I wanted something kind of closer. And I was new to Las Vegas as well, too. And, coming to Vegas, everybody said, you got to be in Summerlin. That's the place to be. Well, I could not afford Summerlin in my early 20s. So I chose what I call Summerlin adjacent. Okay. So this is like right around Washington and Buffalo area. So it's right off of Summerlin Parkway, right? So good freeway access. I thought that was a good thing for me to do. I was able to buy this at $157,000, I remember. It was listed at $150K. I did have to bid over to get it, which I did, luckily. And I lived there for over 2 years, and then I sold it. All right. So I sold it for $260,000. And by that time, I had gotten my license, actually. So, I made like $100,000 on this, give or take. And I tell people this all the time. This was like more than twice my annual income at the time. This is the house that really jumped me off in real estate, honestly, Bought it for $157, sold it for $260. Just fond memories of this house. This is where it all started. The address had a number 8 in it. I was supposedly lucky, right? It backed up to Buffalo, actually. So it's a main road. That's not ideal, but this is when I always tell people, this is your starter home. This is your first home. This isn't your forever home. This is not the perfect home. So I wanted the location more importantly. I didn't care about the backyard that much those days anyway. So it's like, backs up to Buffalo, whatever, I'm good. Not ideal, still made money on it though. Okay, so starter home, this is where it started. Let's go to house number 2 now. All right, house number 2. This one was in the Northwest area. This was right off of Ann Road near Rainbow. Okay, it was a brand new home. It was the first brand new home that I bought personally, because in real estate, I had helped a lot of people in the early 2000s get into a new home. And I wanted to experience that as well, too. I wanted to go pick my cabinets, my flooring, and all that stuff, too. So I bought a brand new house. This was a Richmond American home. And I remember I thought I got a really good deal on it. I bought it for $283,000. This was in October of 2006. All right. I thought it was a great deal. However, turns out it was right before the recession. All right. So this is one of those homes where I bought it for $283,000, and when I ended up selling it in 2009 as a short sale, it actually only sold for $108,000. All right. Ooh. So I did lose money on it in many ways. However, if you remember back to those Great Recession days, basically everybody was not paying their mortgage. We're waiting to do a short sale. They couldn't foreclose on you if you were doing a short sale. So you basically got to live in the property for free, right? So I did take advantage of that during that time too. I didn't lose that bad, considering I lived there without paying a mortgage for a while and just kind of did a short sale with it. But, I can definitely tell you that, yeah, I bought it for $283,000 and then sold it for like $108,000. So yeah, I lost, but just know I didn't pay for it in cash or anything, right? I just financed it. So it's just my down payment that I could say that I lost. And when you add up all the rents that I didn't pay or mortgage I didn't pay, it worked out like a break even for me, honestly. But that was just a thing of the times, all right? During the recession, properties just dropped so much. And so I went from a big win to kind of a big L right here. But anyways, I learned a lot on the way, new homes. It was a fun process. What's interesting now is I looked at the market value of this house right now, and it's like right under $400,000, right? So had I ended up just keeping it, I probably still would have made money on it too, though, but it just didn't work out that way. Okay, so that's house number 2. This was my Rhodes Ranch house, okay? Bought this house in Rhodes Ranch, purchased it during the recession, all right? Bought it for $235,000. I remember always thinking to myself, oh, I could have waited longer. I could have bought it for lower. I think homes in there had gone below 200,000, maybe in the high 100s even. No, I had been living kind of in the Northwest for a while, and I wanted something new. And I just, really liked the Southwest, and I loved the Rhodes Ranch community. It's guard gated, clubhouse, gym, pool, everything was great. I felt like I was living really, really like luxuriously in this house. I thought I'd come up, this was a great property. I felt really good about it. It wasn't huge. It was still like 1,800 square feet, but that was before I had a family, before I was married. And to me, it was a great house. It was a 3-bedroom plus a loft. I landscaped it, put a covered patio. I really loved this house. And this is a house that is still in my portfolio, actually. This is actually, you could call this my first rental property in many ways, because I bought it, lived in it, and then ended up keeping it as a rental. And just so you know, I bought it for $235,000. It's probably worth like $475 right now too. So great equity position on this one. I've used the equity on this one for down payments of other properties too, many times. So this has been a great property for me, a great investment for me. I tease my wife and say that this is going to be our retirement home one day even, and it might be if it wasn't a 2-story actually. So anyways, that's my Rhodes Ranch house. I still have it. Tuscany Village. This is the house. This is another Northwest property. This is a house that I acquired in 2009 as well, during the recession. A lot of people were afraid during those times because of the big, mortgage crisis. Prices of homes dropped like crazy during those years. But this house I bought for $117,000. Okay, and when I say I bought it for $117,000, that's the amount that I financed. I mean, I just put like a small down payment on it, and it's rented out this whole time, very low vacancy. It's probably worth around $400K right now, maybe just a little below. But I mean, I've been renting this out very consistently for, 15 years now. I still have this in my portfolio. I do remember buying this as a short sale. It was a great investment when I look back on it. It's a little single-story gated community in the Northwest. I can tell you that it is getting a little older now. I've been having to do a little more maintenance on this house and repairs. So I always say when this house goes vacant, I would consider selling it and maybe trading it into something different, maybe a little newer, less maintenance costs, things like that, because I have made great profit on it already, considering I bought it for 117 and it's worth almost 400 now. So when that day comes, I'd probably do a 1031 exchange on this one and maybe find a different area, location, or, newer construction on it. But this was a good one. I mean, it's been paid off for a while now. So great investment on this house. And this was, Northwest property. This property is in Huntington. So if you're familiar with Las Vegas, this was one of my early investments as well too. I was living in Rhodes Ranch at the time. And if you know, Huntington is right behind Rhodes Ranch. All right. I bought this during the recession in 2009 as well too. Purchase price was $145K. I liked the location. I've always believed in the Southwest of Las Vegas. I knew it was a fast growing area, a lot of land to build on. It has a lot of potential. Turns out I was right, actually. They're building a lot of stuff over there now. So I'm glad I have this one. This one's probably worth like in the mid 4s now. All right. So I remember buying this one too and thinking maybe I went a little early on it in 2009 because prices kept dropping for a little while. But again, bought it for $145. It's probably worth at least $450 now. I remember specifically on this one. This house was situated on a T intersection, actually. My parents were like, "Oh, are you sure it's not good feng shui?" I was like, "Whatever. I don't believe in that stuff. I'm just gonna buy it. I'm not gonna live in it. It's an investment anyways." And we're like, "Okay, then, right?" And let me just tell you, after a few years owning this property, I had so many issues. It was always like constant turnover. It'd be like a 12-month lease. People would move. 12-month lease. People would move. Bunch of repairs. And I was like, man, maybe my parents were right about this feng shui thing. What should I do, right? They said, well, just change the landscaping, put a couple big boulders in the front yard to block the bad energy or whatever. And I was like, well, wouldn't hurt. I need to do landscaping anyway because some tree had fallen or something. So I put a couple big boulders in the front, and whether you believe this or not, things have been a lot smoother since. So I don't know. I'm a believer now, I guess. When I look back on it, it was a great investment. And this was probably the last house that I self-managed as well, too, as I remember. I was like, I'll manage my own properties. I'm in real estate. So I managed this myself. And I just remember it was always like this tenant, it was a nice family, but they were young and they were just starting out. Sometimes they would have to pay late and things like that. And, you know, I remember this was the house that made me decide I'm going to use a property manager from now on because I'm too nice and I'm a sucker and I just always let people pay late or whatever and stuff like that. I still own it. It's still in my portfolio. It's been a great investment for me. I bought this house. This was in Aliante. I remember during the recession, Aliante was a master plan community in North Las Vegas that was like, you know, was supposed to, you know, change the game, right? I mean, everybody, it was a hot neighborhood. But when the recession came, these crashed really hard, right? So I was able to grab this house for $105,000, all right? This is in a master plan community. It's like a 3-bedroom plus loft, 2.5 bath, nice layout. I remember this one. I still own this one too. It's been paid off as well too. I love this house. I think the only thing I can say about it is the fact that it is in a master plan, so you're paying like an extra HOA fee on this one. However, it's not too bad because it's got a very reasonable like sub-association, so it wasn't too crazy. This one has stayed occupied and rented out for the most part very well. I haven't had to do any major renovations on this one except more recently. I did change carpet and had it repainted. I think I did tile flooring on this one because tiles were still cool when I did that. I bought it for $105. It's worth like mid-low fours right now, perhaps. My Aliante house, all right, in my portfolio. I still own it. This is another purchase I made in 2011, actually, okay? 2011, this is a North Las Vegas property. It's kind of by the VA hospital up there. I got it because it was $108,000, all right? I didn't love this location, but to be able to buy a single family home for $108,000, I thought it was a good deal. The size on it was great. It was over 2,000 square feet. I remember I liked this one because it had a giant, enormous loft, all right? And I remember I actually made a 4th bedroom upstairs too, which definitely helped increase my rents over the years on this one. And it still had a space for like a kind of a average to smaller loft on it still. So it still had a loft. I turned it into a 4-bedroom. It had a downstairs bedroom and full bath too. This was a good value for sure. Definitely a value play on this one. Was hoping that there would be more development in this kind of northwest part of Las Vegas, but you know, we're still barely just beginning to see some more development up there. So actually what I did with this one is I have sold this recently, all right? This is one I did not keep in my portfolio, but I bought it in 2011 for $108. I sold it for $405,000 in 2023. And I did a 1031 exchange on this one so I can defer my taxes, and ended up buying a smaller single-story home in Southern Highlands, which I am really big on right now. I think Southern Highlands has great potential. So I traded a bigger North Las Vegas house. I got a Southern Highlands smaller house, but great profits on this one for sure. And then I did a 1031 exchange with it too. So this one was a big win. This is another North Las Vegas property. Yes, I bought a lot of North Las Vegas properties. They were good prices, you know. This one, you'll never believe. I bought this in 2012 for $98,000. All right, so less than $100K. I bought this house in 2012. I'm pretty sure it was a short sale too, because pretty much everything was a short sale back then, or a REO or a foreclosure. But I got this one for $98,000. It is still in my portfolio. It still rents out perfectly. I have done a little renovation in this one over time, like painting, landscaping, and did some carpet change on this one too. It didn't need a lot of high-end renovations on this one. It's been renting out fine. I still own it. I like it a lot. I'll probably just keep it, you know? It's making good money, all right? It's probably worth about $400K right now, I'd say, all right? I know you're tired of hearing about all the North Las Vegas stuff that I picked up, so let me bring you back to this one. This one is Nevada Trail. I love Nevada trails. You're not so far south like in Mountain's Edge. Nothing against Mountain's Edge. I'm just saying you're close to all the action at Nevada Trail. Dude, this, I remember very, very well that this was a short sale. And I actually was representing a client on this house. Back in those short sale days, you have to make an offer and you wait forever for the bank to approve it. During that time, while we were waiting, I think it was like, 4 or 6 months even. It was a really long time, actually. I mean, my client ended up doing other investments and things like that. And I remember the bank came back and countered our price. I think we were in escrow for about 145 and they came back at, no, we need 153 on this, right? And then my client just didn't want to go that way. They're like, no, I want it at 145 for 153. I will cancel the deal. And I remember talking to him too. Hey, are you sure? It's only 8,000. Think big picture, And he's like, no, I want a deal on it. I don't like it. So I remember I asked him, well, would you mind if I bought it then? And it was not any type of sales pitch or, trying to pressure him to buy it. I just really thought to myself, if you're not going to buy it, I want to buy it. I can tell you right now that this is creeping its way to like 500K now, so $500,000. This is a great house. This was the first house that I did kind of major renovation on too, actually. It was kind of beat up, and a lot of homes were beat up back in those days during the recession. So I remember I remodeled the kitchen. It was really, really nice. And I remember showing my wife this house. She was like, can we move in it? And I was like, no, we're going to keep it as a rental. And this one has probably one of the lowest vacancies that I've ever had. It always rents out, and for very long-term tenants as well too, always 3-5 years at a time. So this has been a great investment. I'm really happy to have this one in my portfolio. This one's it's a cash cow. This one is a Northwest property purchased in 2013. The price was 103 on it. I think it was a short sale or foreclosure, something like that. It's a little 1-story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage house. The last one that you remember that I did, I started thinking it was cool to renovate homes, right? So this one I did a renovation. I remember I changed the flooring on it. I did the kitchen, painted, and did carpet or something like that. So, I mean, it wasn't like a big, complete renovation, but I remember this was another time that I started getting renovations done on the properties. I think the drawback on it does back up to Rissell up in the Northwest there. It backs up to that road, which I don't think is totally ideal, but I'm not living in it, and it doesn't seem to bother the tenants that much, I guess. I still own it. I remember during the pandemic on this house, these tenants had a hard time paying. They were teachers and things like that, couldn't pay. And I will always remember that these guys paid me back everything that they owed me on this one, and they still live there. Great tenants. I think this house is probably worth around $375, $380 right now. Bought it for $103 though. So good one, still in my portfolio, and I've used it for equity, I remember too. So hey, this is a Spring Valley home. I started trying new areas now, and I bought this one in 2013. The initial intention on this house, honestly, was possibly for my parents to retire in, because it's Spring Valley. It's right by Spring Mountain, close to Asian grocery stores, food, casinos, stuff like that. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, little single story. Purchase price was $115 on it, okay? I bought it in 2013, so prices really slightly creeped up slightly, but for $115, still a great deal. Did end up selling this in early 2020 for $250K. So the profit we made on this one was not as much as some of the others, still more than doubled though. It just turned out it was kind of old, and just the maintenance issues were becoming an issue. I didn't want my parents to live in like a house that was falling apart or needed a bunch of work done. So we ended up just selling it, figuring out a better place for them to retire than this one. I bought it in 13, rented it out for, 7 years, sold it for a profit. This is what you want to do, basically. Old house, reno it, make some money, sell it. Because I might have sold it a little soon. Like I said, I sold it in early 2020 for $250, and it's probably worth like at least $350 now. So, did I let it go too soon? Who knows? At least I put the money to work somewhere else, I guess. I bought a house in Mountain's Edge. It was another new construction home. It was a woodside home. It was quite far out there, pretty far south, but that was my first kind of big step up purchase actually, because everything I had purchased up to that point was 100, 200, something like this. This was a big step up for me. I remember I bought this Mountain's Edge home. It was a woodside home in 2016 for $330,000. I didn't make a lot of money on this one, honestly. I lived there. I loved the house. And then one New Year's Eve, I had a home invasion, actually. I know, can't make this stuff up, right? But I was laying at home. I hear a big noise. I wake up. I think I hear the alarm about to go off. And I thought that maybe my wife had gone into the garage and forgot to turn off the alarm or whatever. I get out there. I notice my front door's open. My TV's gone. I run outside and I'm like, hey, right? I wasn't thinking. I was half awake. Luckily, they were like, oh, tires screech, they peel off and they're gone. And I'm scared as hell, I go back inside the house and I'm looking for my family and I can't find them. I'm like, what the hell? They took them as hostages or something like that. And my youngest son, he was just a baby. I mean, he was just a baby. He was like, his birthday's in November. This was New Year's Eve. He's a newborn practically. I go into the room. I see him. He's in the crib sleeping. I'm like, thank God. And I call the police and I'm reporting it and can't find my wife and my older son. Turns out they were hiding in the closet. I mean, it could have been worse. I'm glad nobody was hurt and, I just lost the TV out of it. Not a big deal, but I guess the long story short on that one is no matter how much I loved that house, I just didn't feel comfortable there actually. Like every time I'd hear noises at night, I'd be all paranoid. I didn't sleep well there anymore after that had occurred, right? And, I put a security door in, cameras, did everything like that, but I just still didn't sleep well there. And that's why I sold that one. So I bought it for $330, sold it for $350. Luckily, I'm a real estate agent, so I didn't really lose on it. If you look at those numbers, but the fact that I had landscaped the properties and done other upgrades in there and all that, I mean, I didn't make money on this one for sure. All right. But, it's just how it goes sometimes. Downtown Las Vegas, all right? I bought this house in 2015. During those days, there was a lot of development happening in downtown Las Vegas, all right? It was like Zappos was there. They bought the old city hall. Tony Hsieh was putting a bunch of money downtown. Oscar Goodman was the mayor still. They were really trying to develop downtown. They had the container park. They were redoing Fremont Street. People were going down there again. It was cool. I wanted to get in on the action, so I got a downtown property. I didn't get the best deal on it, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I bought it in 2015 and it was a flip, all right? It was a flip, but it was $145K. I was like, you know what? At least I don't have to reno it. It's probably worth like in the mid to high threes now, but it stayed rented out. It's been pretty good. I think the only drawback to this property is it's old, all right? It's downtown. It's built in the 50s and some maintenance things, but the people that flipped it did a pretty decent job on it. So not any major costs on this one. I wanted to invest in downtown and I did. I bought the one downtown property. It rented out quickly. And then this house pops up and it's the house next door and it's listed for $94,000. Yes, please. I will buy that house. It's next door to my other house. In case I ever want to combine the lots, re-subdivide or do something, I can do something with that now. I got two, pieces of land right next door to each other downtown. I got this one for less than $100,000. I bought this in 2015 as well. This one did have a lot more renovations to it. All right. I didn't put a lot of money into it early on. It just rented out. I kept the rents low just to get some income back on it first. Sadly, this house during the pandemic, I had a bad tenant on this one. She moved in, everything was good. I think she moved in her mother and then kind of abandoned the mother, left her there. She took off, the mother's there, she's not on the lease, and she starts hoarding in the property, all right? And not just things, we're talking about animals as well too. This house got totally trashed, okay? Totally trashed. After evicting this tenant, I had to redo everything too. So I thought about maybe selling it, but turns out the timing was kind of poor because after I renovated the property, interest rates went up, market slowed down tremendously. I was not able to sell this for a price that I wanted to sell it at. So I ended up keeping it. It is now rented out again, so I still own the 2 properties downtown. You can be sure to check out my video about this property though too, because I have a whole video about how the condition that I found it in, a lot of before and afters with the renovation and things like that. So check that out if you want more details about this house. But I bought it for $94K. It's worth like in the mid 3s right now too. So not a bad investment, but I did have to spend a lot in renovating it over the years and more recently as well too. But hey, still not a bad one. I still have it. Masterful. And this is probably one of my favorite purchases. Bought this house. It's in the Southwest. It's in Southern Terrace. If you know where that is, it's kind of like Patrick, Hualapai, Grand Canyon in there. Really good area. All right. So Summerlin South adjacent to Ken. Nice community. It's gated. It's got a nice community center, pool, and all these things like that. It's a 1-story. All right. 4 bedrooms plus a den, 3-car garage. It's everything that people want, actually. They want a 1-story, 3-car garage, all this space, 2,500 square feet, gated, all that. I ended up putting a pool in that property as well too. Had a lot of enjoyment there. My kids learned to ride bikes there. Had a lot of great memories there. Bought that house for $367. All right. Ended up selling it for $730. All right. Made a really good profit on that one. The only regret I have about that house is selling it, honestly. I was kind of in the mode of thinking, oh, the market's going down, interest rates went up. Let me sell this property because it was a primary home of mine. I was able to sell it and not have to pay, capital gains tax on it because it was my primary home. I qualified for the exemption for the taxes. So I thought it was a good time to sell it. Well, let me just fast forward to today. It's probably worth like, I don't know, over $800,000 now too. So, I could have kept it. I had a renter in there. They were paying rent. It was a good property. Did I let it go too soon? I don't know. But I was able to do that and use that kind of money to start my property management company, which I named Masterful Property Management. Pay homage to this house, right? So all in all, it's all good. When I think back to it, it was a near perfect house. All the specs of the home and the layout and everything I loved about it. However, it was just a little close to those cul-de-sac things where there's just a gate there. So there was a lot of traffic noise and 2 people had run into that gate already too. So I didn't like it. I wish it was a little inside the community a little more than kind of around the perimeter. So it's not a perfect home. So I don't have regrets. I do miss the place still. But all in all, it was probably one of the biggest profits I made on buying and selling a property too. And that was by way of my primary home. I bought it, renovated it, lived in it, all that, sold it for the profit. The best news is it was my primary home, so I did not have to pay any capital gains taxes on it. All in all, it is definitely a win. This house, it's in a cul-de-sac and it's like walking distance to this charter school. That's a good one in the Northwest. I thought to myself, like, this would probably be a good house for a family with like school age children or something like that. Maybe they go to the school, good chance of having a long-term tenant there because, most people don't want to move their kids around too much during school time. Now, this one was purchased in 2018. All right, 2018. Purchased for $287K. It's probably worth around $420, $425, something like that now. The house was move-in ready. There was no work to be done with it. So it was kind of like a little flip too, I think. I think I might have bought it from Open Door or OfferPad or something like that even. So the renovation was done on it. I was able to just get it and get it rented right away. Right now, actually, if you look at these pictures, you see all this nice green grass. Right now, I'm actually trying to go through the Southern Nevada Water Authority right now to get the credit to replace the grass for desert landscaping right now too. So I do have this property still. I'm probably going to convert the grass on this one. I think this would be a good rental for many years to come, actually. This HOA is kind of a pain though. One weed, one piece of trash or something out there, I'm getting notices on this one. So I do remember it for that reason. Which might not be a bad thing, it kind of keeps your tenants in check, right? When the HOA's all over them. Northwest, Centennial Hills, right? Another 2018 purchase. This was in the southwest part of Las Vegas. This is right like around Sunset and Hualapai, all right? So You know me, if you can't be in Summerlin, let's be really close to Summerlin. So this is really close to Summerlin South. This one was purchased for $300,000. It did need some renovation on it as well too. Probably pushing towards like $500K though right now. It's been a great rental. Just because of the location, you have good 215 access. The Southwest these days, it's like the hot area to be. It's close to like that IKEA area, Southern Hills Hospital and all that. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and it has an open floor plan. I remember on this one, you can kind of see it. I did change the flooring to vinyl, like wood plank, so it looks nice, very updated. It has no problems renting out. I do like this house a lot. Going to keep this one in the portfolio for a while, I imagine. One of the tenants on this one did smoke a lot of weed in this one, and I remember we had to do air duct cleaning on it and a fresh coat of paint to get rid of the marijuana odor. All right, so I do remember that one for that. So but all in all, nothing crazy, I guess. All right. Oh, this is a Spring Valley house I bought in 2019. I bought it for $251,000. There was kind of some multiple offers going on, and I had to outbid the other person by $1,000, I remember. So that's why it was $251,000. It's probably worth about $400K right now. What I liked about this Spring Valley is Southwest has been blowing up so much in Las Vegas. I wanted to get into some of that Spring Valley area, but I didn't want a real old house. So this is kind of like a newer area of Spring Valley. It's kind of like Buffalo and Trop area. So you can tell that by, the tile roof it has, right? Because a lot of the older Spring Valley has shingle roofs, right? This one, it's a good house. What I like about it is it's basically fitting my property profile that I like the most. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage home with no or low HOA. And that's this right here. And I like houses like that because they rent easy, they sell easy, and if I need to do renovation, it's not as costly. So this is the Spring Valley house, all right? We haven't seen one of these yet. This one is an east side property. So this one's on the far east side off of Sahara up there by Sunrise Mountain. I believe in the east side too. I think it has some of the best views of the city up there. Population growth in the east side is also booming. And I figure, why not have a property there to rent to some of these new residents over there, right? So I got this one for $255,000 right before the pandemic in February of 2020. I still have it. I rented it out. It's probably worth about $375,000 right now. So good appreciation. It rents out easy. This HOA is kind of a pain in the butt too, though. Another one of those that I remember where the HOA is all over us all the time. Oh, there's a weed. You need to pull in your garbage cans. HOA has been kind of on me on this one, but for the most part, it's appreciated in value. It rents out. This one's actually a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. I remember a little single story in a cul-de-sac. East side. I think this is the only one I own on the east side. I may buy more. I think my only drawback on this is the rents are a little bit lower on the east side. You want to be somewhat diversified, right? Early on, I had a lot in North Las Vegas because it was lower. And then I went to the Southwest, kind of more central. And, why not add an east side property in the mix? Because I have some downtown properties too. So I'm just staying diversified here, okay? Look at this house, right? This one looks much different than the rest of the properties, right? A lot of green grass, just everything about it. But that's because this one's out of state, all right? This is a house I own in Idaho, okay? If you didn't know about me is I actually moved to Las Vegas from Idaho, from Boise, Idaho. I went to Boise State University. I had such a good time in college there. It's always been dear to me. I have family there still. My sister lives there, cousins, aunts, uncles, lots of people there. So this was during 2021, all right? This is during the time of everybody, let's buy a vacation home, let's travel, let's do this, let's work remote. I also did it too, right? So, I bought this one near the peak pricing, honestly. I bought it for $530,000, all right? It is probably worth slightly below what I bought it for, honestly. It dipped down quite a bit in 2022 when interest rates went up. But it's, the market is a strong market up in Idaho right now. A lot of people moving there that, want the 4 season. So this is a growing market up there in Boise, Idaho. For the first year of this house, I actually did an Airbnb with it so I can travel there with my family. You know, I could live there with my family for extended periods. It was cool. We went and stayed a few times. It was very nice. We enjoyed it. It's kind of near downtown in Boise, near the university. My sister lived in the foothills, so it's kind of close to her too. And this is kind of like when I was going to college, I kind of lived around this area too. So, I mean, there was a lot of like personal stuff involved on this one, why I chose this one. It was a little older construction. I did have to do a major roof repair on this one, which kind of sucked. But hey, this is definitely one of those, 3% mortgages that I have. So my payment's low. I've since turned it into a long-term rental because as an Airbnb or short-term rental, it just wasn't getting the bookings that I needed. Because after the pandemic was over, the demand dropped tremendously. The market was way oversaturated. And then the city started coming out with a bunch of regulations on it too. So I pivoted from doing short-term rental on this to just a traditional long-term rental. It's been rented out great. And like I said, my big advantage on this one is I bought it in 2021 when the interest rates were super low. So it's a great cash flowing property for me. I don't have any equity on this one, but hey, you know what? Real estate's a long-term play. Like I always say, hopefully it goes up in value. I will sell it and make some more money and we'll figure out something else to do with it. Okay. Idaho, it's an out-of-state property in my portfolio. Silverado Ranch now, all right? And I bought it in 2021 for $342,000, all right? It's probably worth about $400K now. Again, this is one of those homes that I love, right? It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-story, 2-car garage, no HOA. It's got a good location, very rentable. It's near kind of like South Point Casino. So, I mean, it's, easy to get to the Strip, airport, things like that. It's been a really good, solid rental for me. It's smaller in square footage, but it's been really easy for me to, keep it rented out. And it's been a good one for me. I like this house a lot. And I liked that last one in Silverado Ranch so much that when this house came on the market in the same community, I was like, I need to buy that house too. So I ended up buying this house. This one, it's a little bittersweet for me, honestly. All right. I loved it because my other Silverado Ranch house did so well. This one came up and it was available. I negotiated it. I was really happy, ready to close on it. Very sadly, the owner passed away while we were in escrow on this one. And the owner had no will or any estate planning done or anything like that. So I had to go through the probate process through the state. What really hurt for me on this one is the fact that I had to wait that whole probate process. And during that process, interest rates shot up. Doubled almost, prices started going down, and this was no longer as good as a deal as I thought it was. However, when it came down to it and we got the court approval on it, I still thought to myself, it's a 3-bedroom, it's a 2-bath, 2-car garage, no HOA. You know what? Just buy it. It's not as good as you thought it was going to be, but from the experience and, what you've seen in the past, real estate just tends to go up, so, to worry about, 5,000-10,000 here and there on a long-term investment, I don't know if it's that material actually, so I mean, it's gone up in value since I bought it, and it's stayed rented out as well too. So how I purchased this and having not been able to lock in the low interest rate on a mortgage on that's not the best win on this one, but I still have equity on it. It's still rented out. I'm happy. So now we're moving to this one, all right? So I don't know if you remember from the previous house in North Las Vegas, I did a 1031 exchange from the property in North Las Vegas, and this is the one that I acquired with the exchange, all right? So I had sold that property there for about $405, right? I bought this one for $380, okay? Got this one for $380. It's in Southern Highlands, and I would say it already went up in value. And I think what happened with this one is timing. I closed on this property December 21st, all right? 4 days before Christmas, I bought this house. And I tell investors and my clients this all the time. If you want to buy homes in the winter, if you can, during the holidays, buyer demand is low and motivated sellers are willing to negotiate. And that's exactly what happened here. This one was listed at $400K. I got it for $380, all right? This is a single story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage home. It's got, in Southern Highlands. I love Southern Highlands. I think it's got great potential out there. Right now, I mean, I looked at comps more recently, and they're like 420, 430-ish already. Got a good deal on it that I have equity. You rent it out quickly and for a really good rate too. And more importantly, it rented out for more rent than I was getting on the North Las Vegas property. So that was the reason for doing this exchange, honestly. Even though the other house was bigger and this house is smaller, this one gets more rent. So I just exchanged a larger home for a more desirable location, in my opinion. Investors do 1031 exchanges all the time. You should consider it too. If you have like a poor performing property or just something that's giving you more trouble, this is the time to do stuff like that. So yeah, this is a Southern Highlands property. I'm covering all my bases here. All right, so this is my most recent purchase, actually. We closed on this house December 29th, 2023. All right, so 2 days before New Year's. All right, we closed on this house. It was a probate sale as well, too. This house was beat up, smelled like smoke so bad. It was just needed a lot of work, but I picked it up for $325,000. It is in Green Valley, inside the Beltway. All right, near kind of like Pebble and Eastern, between Pecos over there too. I got this house, and my plan on this one is we're flipping it. All right, we're still doing renovations right now. We should be able to put it on the market soon. I got it for a good enough price. I should be able to sell it for a profit when I flip it. But it got me thinking too. I don't have anything in my portfolio that's in Henderson, actually. So who knows? If I can't sell this, I might just keep this one. I kind of tend to do that over the years, but who knows? But this is the most recent one. Do stay tuned to get the story of this one, because I'm going to go through the whole flip process, renovations, everything. We'll see how much money we make on this one, okay? Most recent closing is this one, all right? $325. My goal is to sell it around $450 at least. If I can get more, that's even better, but that's the goal, all right? So thanks for joining me on my little trip down memory lane on my investment properties. I just wanted to share with, all of you, kind of my story of how I got into real estate, house hacking, investing, and things like that too. Like, I could tell you, in the early 2000s, it was a crazy hot market. I got in when I got in, made a profit. And, to the exception of that one short sale, that second property, one thing I've noticed is every single property is worth more now than when I purchased it for. You don't always have to try to time the market, right? If you try to time low interest rates, you're going to be in a bidding war with buyers, right? If you try to time the market for what you think things are going to, start tanking or something, you might sell the property too fast, even like I did with one of mine, right? But all I can say is, going back, my early investments, I didn't make a ton of money. I didn't, that first house, yeah, I made good money. It was my springboard, all right? But then the other homes, when I was putting the money down, buying them and then renting them out and still having a mortgage payment, I wasn't cash flowing very much with those properties. A lot of them, they were breaking even at the beginning. It wasn't very sexy to do that at all. But I kind of had an idea that long-term wise, this is the way to go, all right? And I learned this, through working with investors and other people too, and just learning their mindset about, real estate's a long-term thing. Buy the property, get the tenants to pay your mortgage off over time, and then you have all the equity and everything like that. So I kind of used that strategy for most of my investments, all right? So getting the tenant to pay off the mortgage for you, try to buy stuff that doesn't need too much renovation is something I've learned along the way as well too. And, actually using 1031 exchanges, right? Everyone talks about 1031 exchanges, but are they doing them, right? So it's like, I see the reason for it, right? If you have a great property, you've made money, and you don't want to pay a bunch of taxes on it, you use the 1031 exchange to exchange it for better performing properties, all right? Living in your home too, because I shared it with you, and not just investments, but my primary homes too. Your primary home is an investment as well too, because you buy it, you're paying on it, but when you sell it, you qualify for these exemptions, and that's another big advantage that you should take advantage of, all right? Too many people get comfortable in their home. Well, my payment's this low. Why would I go anywhere? Well, you're always going to stay there, all right? You're always going to stay there, which might not be a bad thing, but if you want to go to another level or take another step up, you're going to have to take these risks and these chances, right? Like, I remember when buying the house for $330,000 was a big step for me. I had never bought a house that expensive. Up to that point, my highest purchase was $235,000, all right? So going to $330,000 was kind of scary for me, but I did it, and it kind of helped get me used to that price range where, it, 1031 exchanges, right? So I kind of used that strategy for most of my investments, all right? So getting the tenant to pay off the mortgage for you, try to buy stuff that doesn't need too much renovation is something I've learned along the way as well too. And, actually using 1031 exchanges, helped me step up to the later homes where I bought for 360, sold for 700, and now into the house I'm in now, things like that. Like, you realize that if you want to level up, you got to take these chances too. Also, another take is I've been kind of, I believe in diversification a little bit too. So I'm, my first investments were all in North Las Vegas because the prices were low there. I bought a bunch there, but ever since I've kind of spread out more. I'm using my, my knowledge as a real estate agent and investor. Where are the upcoming areas? All right, what's coming up? What's going down? Let's move things around so you have a really good, strong portfolio, right? You don't want all your eggs in one basket, like they said, right? So like if North Las Vegas goes down, well, at least my Southwest properties are doing well, or, Silverado Ranch is doing well. Southern Highlands, I'm really high on right now. I know that I definitely want to acquire more properties in Henderson now. This is just me reflecting on my portfolio and my experiences too. If you have any specific questions or anything like that, please feel free to drop me a comment. And if you want me to cover any more of these topics, drop another comment for that too. But be sure to check out my channel and my other videos. I have a lot of information about real estate investing and things about Las Vegas and things like that. I appreciate you watching this. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.